What screams I'm poor but pretend I'm rich? LV, happy cat face. Having a car with a very loud engine. Mentioning the price. Luxury brands. Not releasing your tax returns. BMW 328i. BMW. iPhones. I thought this would be a fun thread to read. Turns out I don't even have enough money to be pretend rich. Pretending your name is Bouquet when it's actually Bucket. Monopoly money. Wow. A whole post about my ex-husband. Thanks for all the laughs. In the UK, tracksuits and clean trainers. Starting up business after business. Used to know a guy who did this. He made 8 different businesses on Facebook, then applied for jobs in management positions with all the CEO positions he held in the businesses as resume details. The amount of PPA here saying rich PPA and flash your own expensive stuff makes me think most PPA on Reddit don't actually know any rich PPA. The rich, obscenely, PPA I know are flashy as fuck and own ridiculous houses and cars and clothes. What screams poor but rich? Talking about how rich they are non-stop. Anyone that comes into money, be it luck, inheritance, daddy or a crazy loan. Poor-minded people will spend the lot. I've been lucky to know real wealthy people. The type that could give it all away and be wealthy again in a year. They're the most average-looking people and talk about interests, not money or their stuff. Rich equals poor person given cash. Wealthy equals makes the cash. Owning the newest iPhone. It's not so much of a problem now, but my partner stops us from saving money because she needs a full wardrobe of designer clothes. I always say you're making us poor because you don't want to come across as poor. Doesn't make sense to me. Having an iPhone, usually the newest one. I used to work at Aldi. It's surprising how many people I saw come through the checkout line with a Mercedes/BMW key fob while paying for their groceries with food stamps. In India at least, buying the latest most expensive phone on Mac. Flexing Apple products. Wearing designer clothes and expensive jewelry to a factory/warehouse manual labor job. Being a right-wing cuck but coming from low-income area and being a total pleb like the rest of us. Mercedes C300. Burning lumber that you bought 5 years ago and posting about it like you bought it this month. Driving a BMW X1. We all know that's the cheapest one, but the people want you to treat them like they pulled up in a fucking Rolls Royce. There are faster, cheaper, more reliable, better resale value, more efficient and better looking SUVs made by Toyota and Honda. But they buy this ugly cheap, basically a knockoff of a real BMW just so their friends can see that they have a BMW. I'm ready to get a lot of hate on this one cause I know Therese, a lot of y'all out there driving those shits, but I know every time an X6 rips past you at 130 while you're wheezing to stay afloat at 85, you must feel like a real phony. iPhones. A Mercedes. Men posing next to expensive cars that are not theirs. Not tipping. The daily update posts on Facebook about how much your MLM has changed your life. Ordering food on DoorDash and alike all the time. I know peoples who donates blood all the time and spend it all on takeouts. The white entry-level Range Rover in a street of £80,000 cars. Keeping up appearances. Jesus Christ, Reddit is classist. Yeah, it's lame, but in the end, who really gives a shit? So many threads just shitting on poor people. Reddit's not leftist, it's full of fucking liberals who hate poor people. True leftists and socialists wouldn't participate in threads whose sole purpose is to make fun of and deride people possibly in poverty. Oh god, he's a poor pretending to be rich, castigate him online. Cracked windshield, that never gets repaired, on a Tesla. Trump. America. Wearing clothes with huge brand logos on them. Brands. Displaying them, mentioning them, anything. Actually, wealthy people either buy custom or the brands they do buy are not because of the brand name. They also don't need people to think they're rich, they know they're rich and that's all that matters. If a wealthy person needs to flex, they don't buy a branded product, they buy the company and have the board make financial statements that only other wealthy people will recognize as flexing. Buying Gucci when you live in your parents' basement, flexed biceps. Constantly eating at fancy cafes and restaurants, then posting it online. They owe me hundreds of dollars, told me they were in trouble and desperately needed the cash, and they're out there eating $15 omelets while I work 8-hour shifts at a frontline job during a pandemic. Buying conspicuously branded clothing. The clothes should look good on you, not be a walking billboard for that brand. People with money don't give a fuck about looking branded. Kids showing things they have, that are supposed to look good or expensive. In the end they just look pathetic with the shitty looking clothes. In Australia, apparently avocado on toast. Expensive bags/accessories on public transportation. Pronouncing your last name as bouquet even though it's bucket. The whole Middle East basically. Starbucks. Buying completely pointless electronics just to show off. Having grown up poor and now living in a fairly well-off area of town, my experience is this. Customized luxury cars. Big gold watches. Looking like a commercial for luxury brands with the tackiest Gucci and LV items. There's also something about the way rich people carry themselves, their hairstyles and subtle cues in the faces. I don't know whether it's life's hardship/lack of hardship showing in the face, but it just can't be faked. Rims. White people with tribal tattoos. Buying fashion clothing like Supreme or upgrading to the newest iPhone without reason. My so and his buddies say that people who own really nice cars but take them to cheap shops for tires and other things instead of the dealership are fake rich. They all used to work in a tire shop together and they're all big car guys. I don't know if it's already been said, but honestly, over the top, name brand stuff. Most people with money dress very, very casual on a day-to-day unless they are getting out of work. They don't typically show wealth on their person, and if they do, it's subtle. Voting Republican. Mic drop. I'm more curious about the ones who scream I'm poor, yet are far from it. People who leave tags on their clothes. Especially hats. I'm talk price tags. Saw this the other day. A lady in her car had white Nike hat on with big ass tag on it. My husband and I were like, bro, you trying to flex on and why? Putting way too much effort into trying to look like you don't have money problems, aka buying expensive clothing when you obviously can't afford it, and etc. Every time I see a question beginning with what screams X, I scream it at the top of the lungs so that the answer is always me. Many fashion labels like Gucci, Supreme, Off-White are what poor people think rich people wear. You flexing the cash, genuine rich people don't flex. Being part of a pyramid scheme. The comments here are so soothing. Louis Vuitton fake handbags. Having a TV that's way too big for their room. A guy my brother-in-law knew lived in a dilapidated shack in the country, just outside our town. He spent all his money on purchasing a Yukon Denali. His thought process was, people see me rolling around in this. Driving a 3 Series BMW. People who claim they make bank off of illegal stuff when in reality they struggle to pay bills. Leaving the splitter guards on your Dodge Charger. Walking around with a hobo bindle dressed like the Monopoly man. Buying rounds for the whole bar. If you buy for your friends you've got cash, if you buy for the bar you're making a statement. And chances are that statement is, I have more money than sense. Bragging about your wealth but fighting all the way to the Supreme Court not to release your financial documents. Lavish nail do. It's pretty expensive, but I have only ever seen it by women working in low-paying jobs. Social media influencers. Air Force Ones. Buying fashion clothing for the brand. Then heavily flexing that stupid choice every chance you get. Chasing brand names. Most of Instagram. Pictures of you holding cash on the 1st and 15th. Partying in a limo. Spending money recklessly, eating out in town every day rather than bringing in lunch etc. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, there is a very strong temptation to say fuck it and spend the money before it all disappears in rent and bills. It's only when you actually have some money that you start getting protective over it and stop wasting it. Leasing expensive cars. Buying a fancy car they can in no way afford on a finance agreement. Any credit card debt.